Hey everyone, and welcome. So, if you're using N8N, you probably know a huge update is coming, version 2.0. In this explainer, we're going to walk through the most important breaking changes you need to know about. The whole point is to make your upgrade totally painless. So, let's just dive right in.
First things first, why is all this happening? Well, it's really important to get that these changes aren't just for the sake of it. They are all about leveling up N8, making it way more secure, super reliable, and truly a production-ready platform for everything you're building.
So here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the big one, security upgrades. Then we'll get into how N8N is handling data a lot smarter. After that, a little bit of configuration and cleanup, and we'll wrap it all up with a simple, straightforward action plan for you to follow. Okay, let's jump into the most critical piece of this 2.0 update, and that's security. The whole philosophy here is shifting to secure by default. What that really means is that N8N is now making smart, proactive choices to keep your workflows and your data safe right from the get-go. Now, the single biggest security change revolves around the code node, that super powerful node we all use. The thing is, it used to have this potential risk where it could reach into your system's environment variables. And that's often where you store sensitive stuff, like API keys and secrets. So the solution is actually pretty simple, but really powerful. By default, N8N just blocks that access. This simple change completely prevents your workflows from accidentally leaking sensitive data, which is just a massive win for security.
Okay, so what do you actually need to do? Well, first, take a look at any workflow where you're using the code node to pull in environment variables. The best practice, the thing we really recommend, is to move that secret stuff into N8N's own credential manager. But look, if you have a mission-critical reason you have to use the old way, there is an escape hatch. You can set a special environment variable to turn that access back on.
And the security boosts don't stop there, not at all. Version 2.0 is also tightening up permissions on your config files, running all code nodes in their own isolated environments, and disabling a couple of potentially risky nodes like execute command by default. Oh, and it's also locking down OAuth callbacks. It's really a whole security overhaul.
And the best part about all these security upgrades? For most of them, you don't have to lift a finger. They're just smart defaults that protect you automatically. You'd only need to change something if you have a very, very specific reason to go against the new, safer settings.
All right, let's move on from security. Version 2.0 is also bringing in some much smarter ways of handling data. These changes are all about making your workflows faster and more reliable, especially when they start to get really big and complex. Now this is a really cool change in how things work. Before, if you had a sub-workflow that, say, paused to wait for something, the main workflow would just get back the data that the sub-workflow started with. But now, the main workflow actually waits and gets the final result from the sub-workflow. This is huge. It opens up all kinds of new possibilities, like workflows that need a human to approve something midway through.
Okay, next up is a pretty big housekeeping item. To make sure development efforts are focused and to guarantee everything's reliable, N8N is officially ending support for MySQL and MariaDB as its main database.
So if you're hearing this and thinking, wait a minute, that's me. I use MySQL. What do you do? Well, don't worry. There's a clear path forward.
Okay, now this is the crucial part. You absolutely must migrate your database before you upgrade to version 2.0. The good news is the process is really straightforward. You just need to plan it out, use the official migration tool that N8N gives you, and move your data over to a supported database like Postgres or SQLite. Honestly, for production, Postgres is what you want to use.
Here's another neat performance boost. It's all about how N8N handles binary data, things like files. The old way of trying to keep it all in active memory is gone. Now, by default, N8N stores that data either on the file system or in your database. This is way more stable and performs so much better, especially if your workflows are dealing with large files.
All right, let's get to our last section of changes. This is all about modernizing and just tidying up the N8N experience. We're talking about a few things here, from getting rid of old nodes to updating some of the command line tools for you power users out there.
This one's pretty simple. A handful of nodes for services that aren't really a thing anymore have been removed. If you happen to have one of these lurking in an old workflow, you'll just need to delete that node so it doesn't cause any errors. And for all of you who live in the command line, there are a few technical updates to be aware of. The built-in tunnel option is gone, so you'll want to use a service like ngrok instead. The command for activating workflows has changed to be a bit more explicit.
And finally, the library that reads your .env files got an upgrade. So it's a good idea to just give your file a quick look to make sure your quotes and comments are all set.
Whew, we have covered a lot of ground, right? So let's pull this all together into one simple, easy-to-follow action plan. Think of this as your go-to checklist for a totally smooth and successful migration to N8N 2.0.
So here it is, your cheat sheet. Number 1, check those code nodes. Number 2, and this one is time sensitive, migrate your database if you're using MySQL or MariaDB. After that, do a quick check on your file permissions, review any sub-workflows to account for that new output behavior, get rid of those retired nodes, and last but not least, update any deployment scripts you might have running. When you boil it all down, every single one of these changes is about giving you a stronger, safer, and more reliable foundation to build all your amazing automations on. It really is a huge leap forward for the platform. So the only real question left is, are you ready to build on it? Thanks for watching.